So I just wanted to mention that we're using the PDF similar to the one that was used during the teachings, but there were a couple small changes that were made. And then most recently, those changes have been incorporated, but there's one big one that I wanted to mention, which is a meaning one. And so if you go to page 10 of the Heart Sutra draft, then we have kind of one of the most famous lines in the Heart Sutra, which says, no eyes, no ears, no tongue, no body, and no discursive mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, and no concepts. And so what you're looking at is your sense faculties, and how those sense faculties are your eyes and ears and nose and tongue and body, and discursive mind, which is the conceptual mind. So what's the object of those? The objects of the eyes are form. The objects of the ears are sound. The object of the nose is smell or scent. The object of the tongue is taste. The object of the body, the tactile object, is touch. And then what's the object of the mind? It's not concepts. That's the mind. The object of the mind is all phenomena. So the mind takes all phenomena as its object. So this recently kind of came up incidentally when I was doing a different translation, and it's a very important point. So I just wanted to mention that. When I'm reading the text today, I'm going to read it and say no phenomena at that point, so that this recording will be correct, because our final draft will have that. And so I just wanted everybody to know that, and also it's just important for your studies. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that many of you have done this practice who are students of Rinpoche's in his different practice groups, and so you're familiar with how he's had us do it before, which always started with the 7-line prayer and then Vajraguru mantra. So we would do basically Guru Yoga before doing the Heart Sutra, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's very specifically a kind of more Vajrayana approach to the practice, and also specifically Nyingma with Guru Rinpoche and Guru Yoga. And Rinpoche wanted the Heart Sutra practice that we put out and the way that we did the practice to be according to the Mahayana and Sutra tradition, without those variations, which are perfectly valid. There's nothing incorrect. It's just a different way. So we'll do the more traditional way, which is just starting with going for refuge and generating bodhicitta, which is in the PDF text that we have provided on everybody's accounts. And so we just wanted to mention why we won't be doing the 7-line prayer in Vajraguru. And I also wanted to say, if you are a Nyingma Vajrayana practitioner and you wanted to start this practice with a Guru Yoga, that's not incorrect. And when you're doing it on your own, that you can. But the more traditional Sutra Mahayana style will be the way that we're doing it. And this is how Rinpoche will have his groups do it when they do a group practice together. So is that clear? I have got some people here with me, so it's good to get feedback. Okay, should I keep going? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the outline of the practice, and then we're going to do it. And I'll do a little bit of guided meditation through it, but mostly by having the outline, then we kind of can see what we're doing. And this outline will be a part of we will have this outline as a part of a compilation of all of the materials for studying the Heart Sutra, and we'll have a Heart Sutra practice program in the future. But basically, as per all of our meditation practice, we can always think of it as having 3 parts, the 3 excellencies. So we have the excellent beginning, the excellent main part, and the excellent conclusion to the practice. And the excellent beginning is where we sit in proper meditation posture, if we're able, or whatever of the key points of posture that we're able to keep. And then the next step is we start with our motivation, cultivate bodhicitta. And then before we recite the text, in this case, we think of the Buddha Shakyamuni in the space before us, surrounded by a retinue of Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra and so forth. And then we go for refuge and generate bodhicitta. And when we do the practice, I'll do a little bit more details in the guided meditation, but I'm just giving you the sequence. And so once that's completed, we have finished our excellent beginning. We've sat ourselves in meditation posture. We've cultivated our motivation. We've generated the sources of refuge and the support for this practice. And we've gone for refuge and generated bodhicitta in the words of refuge, which we'll recite 3 times. Then we have our main practice. And during the main practice, this is to read the text. And so we read the entire Heart Sutra at whatever pace we wish, essentially. As a group, it's usually kind of slow and metered, all the way until it ends with, it says, this is the conclusion of the Heart Sutra. And then at that point, we chant the Heart Sutra mantra. And throughout that entire time, as we're reading the text, we try to bring to mind whatever understanding of emptiness that we have as we're reading, as we understand whatever understanding of the words that we have. And so it's contemplative and we're focused. And then after we've chanted the mantra for a while, then there's a silent period for the meditation. And if you're with a group, it will be however long it takes, so that the meditation is a 1-hour practice. But when you're on your own, that could be 5 minutes, that could be 10 minutes, that could be an hour. It just depends on you. And that silent section is a contemplative and resting meditation in which we contemplate the meaning of emptiness and use whatever lines of logic or reasoning that we have to contemplate. And then whenever we get to an insight or an understanding, then we let our mind rest. And then we pick up the contemplation where we left it off, we contemplate, and then we let our mind rest. And so that's when, especially if you're with a group, you're like, what are we doing? This is a contemplative and resting meditation, and we're alternating between the two, because the Heart Sutra practice is vipassana, which means we're cultivating profound insight. It's not shamatha. You're not just sitting there quietly or letting your mind rest. You are seeing emptiness. If you're someone who's contemplated emptiness extensively and have a total confidence in how everything is empty, then you could just do resting meditation where you're seeing emptiness. So you just recognize it, you've already kind of realized everything to be empty, and then you would rest there in that recognition where you're just seeing emptiness. And so that would be that section. So it depends on your level and your practice. And that kind of completes the main practice of the Heart Sutra, which is the cultivation of profound wisdom that sees the nature of reality. It's a vipassana, profound insight meditation. And then we have our conclusion. And then the conclusion is one in which we recite an averting ritual. We imagine that we're turning away all afflictions and obstacles and so forth. And then we end with the dedication and aspirations. So that would be your whole practice. You have a beginning, a middle, and the end. You have 3 excellencies, which is your beginning, middle, and end. So that's just a review. And then I think what we'll do is we'll do the practice, and I'll give a few kind of like guided points while we are doing that. So we'll start with sitting in meditation posture. And so whatever of the 7 key points of posture you can sit in comfortably, or if you're in a chair, that you cultivate as many of those as you're able with your body. And just let your mind settle for a moment so that we're here and present. It's nice to take a couple sort of slow breaths, and just as your breath slows down, your mind will slow down. We got off to a rocky start, so I need that. Just settle. When you're on your own, you can take as long as you want for any of these sections. And some days you'll need a different amount of time for cultivating motivation, and some days it'll be quick. But when we're doing it together, we're usually just kind of as a group, you just keep going. And so everyone just quickly remembers the key points as they can. So the first step now is to develop our motivation. And so look at your thoughts and see which thoughts are motivating you. And as Rinpoche always says, discard the discursive or afflictive thoughts and cultivate the thought that is your reason for doing practice today, for practicing the Heart Sutra, I think, in order to free all beings from suffering, and in order to bring beings to happiness, and to the causes of happiness, and to ultimately awaken to true nature. And I too will do so, and I will do this practice of the Heart Sutra, and cultivate the wisdom that realizes the true nature of reality, in order to benefit all beings. And if you're with a group, then you'll just move on to the next thing. And if you're on your own, you can spend as much time as you need to cultivate that thought. And so the next is going for refuge. And so in this particular text, the setting is Rajagriha, the sacred mountain in India, where the Buddha taught on the Prajnaparamita. And so you can think that you're there. And then in the space before you sits the Buddha Shakyamuni, and to either of his sides are Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra, and that you're sitting amidst a retinue of many monks and bodhisattvas and practitioners, and that you are amongst this retinue. And we'll start with refuge. We'll recite it once in English and then 3 times in Tibetan. Until enlightenment is attained, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and excellent assembly of Sangha. By the merit of generosity and so forth, may I accomplish Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Sangye chedan soki chonam la chongshun bardun dani kyazuji Dagi jinsa gibe sunamgi Rola penchir sangyen drbarsho Sangye chudan soki chonamla Chonshun bardun dani kyasuji Dagi jinsa gibe sunamgi Rola penchir sangyen drbarsho Sangye chudan soki chonamla Chongjun bardun dani kyasuji Dagi jinsa gibe sunamgi Rola penchir sangyen drbarsho. And so now that concludes the excellent beginning. And then now we're going to begin the main part, which is the reading of the text. And we'll read all the way through until its conclusion, starting here on page 6 of the PDF. To realize what is indescribable, inconceivable, and inexpressible is the perfection of wisdom. Unborn and unceasing, this very nature of space is the realm of our own self-aware, timeless knowing. I pay homage to the mother of the victorious ones of the 3 times. In Sanskrit, Bhagavati Prajna Paramita Hridaya. In English, the heart essence of the perfection of profound wisdom, the mother of transcendent and accomplished conquerors. I pay homage to the perfection of sublime wisdom, the mother of transcendent and accomplished conquerors. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Buddha was residing on Vulture Peak Mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great sangha of fully ordained monks and a great sangha of bodhisattvas. At that time, the transcendent and accomplished conqueror was resting evenly in the meditative absorption of the enumerations of phenomena, known as profound perfection. Also at that time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looked comprehensively at the experience of the profound perfection of sublime wisdom, and saw that in all their variety, the 5 mind-body aggregates are empty by nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the worthy Shariputra asked noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, how should any child of noble family train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Addressed in this way, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, spoke the following words to the worthy Shariputra. O Shariputra, any child of noble family who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should see everything as follows. See authentically that the 5 mind-body aggregates are empty by nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, and form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness are empty. O Shariputra, thus all phenomena are emptiness, which is without characteristics, unborn and unceasing, without stains and without a freedom from stains, without increase and without decrease. Therefore, Shariputra, with emptiness there is no form, no sensation, no perception, no mental formations, and no consciousness. No eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, and no discursive mind. No form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, and no phenomena. No I element onward to no mind element, and on further to no mind consciousness element. No ignorance and no end of ignorance, up to no aging and death, and no end of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin of suffering, no cessation of suffering, and no path. There is no timeless knowing, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because bodhisattvas have nothing to attain, they rely upon and abide in the perfection of wisdom. They have no mental obscurations and no fear. Having utterly transcended confusion, they reach the ultimate nirvana. All Buddhas abiding throughout the 3 times also awaken to unsurpassed, true, and complete enlightenment, becoming perfect Buddhas by relying on this perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great awareness, the unsurpassable mantra, the mantra that makes equal what is unequal, the mantra that utterly pacifies all suffering is not false. Know it to be true. Thus, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom has been recited. Tadyata gate gate para gate parsam gate bodhi soha. O Shariputra, in this way, bodhisattva mahasattvas should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the transcendent and accomplished conqueror arose from meditative absorption and praised noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva mahasattva, by saying, Excellent, excellent, son of noble family, it is just so, it is just so. Just as you have taught, one should engage in the profound perfection of wisdom. Those who have gone to suchness rejoice in this as well. Once the transcendent and accomplished conqueror had spoken, they all rejoiced. The worthy Shariputra, the noble bodhisattva mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, the entire retinue, and the world of gods, humans, demigods, and Gandharvas. They joyfully praised these words of the transcendent and accomplished conqueror. This completes the heart essence of the perfection of profound wisdom, the mother of transcendent and accomplished conquerors. So now we'll recite the mantra, which if you don't know it by heart yet is on page 11. And we only say Tajata the first time we recite it. And then after that, it begins with Gate. And again, whatever recollection you have of emptiness as you recite the mantra. Tajata Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha 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 Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. We'll recite it silently for a few minutes. Gandhi Gandhi Bar Gandhi Bar Sam Gandhi Bodhi Soha Gandhi Gandhi Bar And now we come to the contemplative meditation section. And so, of course, if you're someone who has contemplated emptiness extensively and had lots of different teachings and you've already gone through the logic and reasoning, it might be that you just recognize that all phenomena are empty and you simply rest in that ongoing recognition. And you have straight up Vipassana meditation that's non-referential. Or then for many of us, we need to contemplate and go through a gradual process. And so you might have your notes from the teachings, and every time you do that contemplation and resting meditation, it will be different. I, for example, I do it differently every time, but I'll often, one of the classic ways that I'll contemplate is I'll go through first the four extremes, like not existent, and I'll go through all the logic of how it's not existent using the logic of dependent origination and so forth, and then using that same logic how it's not non-existent, it's not both, it's not either. And each time I get to the end of a process, like I refute existence through the logic, then I rest. And then you rest for as long as your mind is kind of settled and just resting in that recognition. And then when thought starts to stir, you pick up the contemplation where you left off. And then you might turn your attention to how non-existence is not possible until you see that clearly using logic and you know that to be the case. And then you rest. And then you see how both existence and non-existence aren't possible. And then you rest. And you can use that using for example, you can read the words of the text. Like there's no form, and you could use that with forms, and you can go through each of the 5 aggregates and so forth. There's lots of ways to do it, and every time you contemplate it will be different, but the main thing is that you kind of are hitting all the marks, making sure that you're going through that process of refuting the extremes, and that you're applying that application of logic to all phenomena in entirety, the 5 aggregates, or if you want to break it up and look at the 12 sense sources, or you can break it up further and look at the 18. And maybe you do a gradual process over the course of many meditations where you examine, how the 5 angles, and it depends on how much you've learned and what lines of reasoning you use, but you just use whatever tools you have and whatever understanding you have. And you just go through a methodical process. And maybe you hit different points with each meditation that you do in order to eventually make sure that you're covering all your material. So we're just going to sit silently, and everyone can, contemplate on your own grounds. And to generate your own understanding, you can use your notes. You can read words in the Heart Sutra itself and contemplate like that. But now we'll do the contemplative and resting meditation section. So that's our time for today. And then that concludes the main practice. And so then now we have what's called the averting ritual. And we do it 3 times, and we kind of read it fast, and there's clapping at the end. And so this is, I haven't had a lot of teachings on this. I'm not going to say much about it. But in general, the Heart Sutra is used for averting obstacles and difficulties, and sometimes it's accumulated. And with every one recitation of the whole Heart Sutra, one would recite the averting ritual 3 times. So today we only read the Heart Sutra once, so we're doing the averting ritual 3 times. And we can just think it's to avert and to rid ourselves of our afflictions and obstacles and so forth. And at the end, with the last, there's 4 claps with the words, may they be averted, and then on destroyed, and then pacified, and then utterly pacified, as you'll see in a moment. So here we'll go, we'll read it. Namo, I pay homage to the Lama, I pay homage to the Buddha, I pay homage to the Dharma, I pay homage to the Sangha. I pay homage to the Great Mother, the perfection of wisdom. May these words of truth recited by me be accomplished. Just as in the past, the Lord of the gods Indra, by relying on the contemplation of the profound meaning of the perfection of wisdom, and by reciting these words aloud, was able to avert all adverse conditions such as maras, harmful influences, and so forth. Then so too, by relying on the contemplation of the profound meaning of the perfection of wisdom, and by reciting these words aloud, may all adverse conditions such as maras and harmful influences be averted. Repeat. Namo, I pay homage to the Lama, I pay homage to the Buddha, I pay homage to the Dharma, I pay homage to the Sangha, I pay homage to the Great Mother, the perfection of wisdom. May these words of truth recited by me be accomplished. Just as in the past, the Lord of the gods Indra, by relying on the contemplation of the profound meaning of the perfection of wisdom, and by reciting these words aloud, was able to avert all adverse conditions such as maras, harmful influences, and so forth. Then so too, by relying on the contemplation of the profound meaning of the perfection of wisdom, and by reciting these words aloud, may all adverse conditions such as maras and harmful influences be pacified, may they be utterly pacified. Namo, I pay homage to the Lama, I pay homage to the Buddha, I pay homage to the Dharma, I pay homage to the Sangha, I pay homage to the Great Mother, the perfection of wisdom. May these words of truth recited by me be accomplished. This is in the past, the Lord of the gods Indra, by relying on the contemplation of the profound meaning of the perfection of wisdom, and by reciting these words aloud, was able to avert all adverse conditions such as maras, harmful influences, and so forth. Then so too, by relying on the contemplation of the profound meaning of the perfection of wisdom, and by reciting these words aloud, may all adverse conditions such as harmful influences be averted, may they be destroyed. So that's the averting ritual. It's actually it's really fun to read in Tibetan. They do it really fast. Namo lama la chazalo sangya la chazalo che la chazalo gina la chazalo yum chamo shiraki bara tu chimba la chazalo dagi demi signam chuber gyur chi chi darngan sa yum baga chingi shiraki bara tu chimbi tun samo si la something sikatun du cheba la tani dichit tikba chen laso ba mi tun be chok tam chi jir do ba tejin tu dagi yam chi shiraki bara tu chimbi tun samo yila something sikatun du cheba la tani dichit chen laso ba mi tun be chok tam chi jir do ba cheek. I don't know. I like it. Yeah. So now we'll continue on 14 with some final words of wisdom and then on to the dedication and aspiration. All things occur interdependently, are unceasing and unborn, neither existent nor non-existent, do not come or go, and are neither separate nor identical. A complete pacification of all such conceptual elaborations. I pay homage to the teacher of peace, the perfect Buddha who expounded this, the most sublime amongst all philosophers. This one was deeply changed. Rinpoche gave me teachings on this after the Heart Sutra, And I had never had any explanation, but there was questions about the translation. And so I encourage you to read it on your own and maybe even look at the previous versions while we're all stumbling as we're reading it. So it was really a special opportunity. And he looked in the sutras and the commentaries, and it took us like 3 days or 4 days. And so it was just really a special experience. And I'm really happy now to have that translation. Okay, we'll do the first 2 prayers in Tibetan and then the rest in English like we often do. Sunam di tamche zigba nyen tomne nyebe ranam pamche ne gega najim valam jumbai sibe zole drowa shu Kewa kundu yanda lama dam rame chingi bala longche te sadam lamgi yundan rabzane dorje changi koban yurtom shu. Just as the heroic Manjushri achieved omniscience, and like Samantabhadra too, following in their footsteps, I completely dedicate this merit. Just as all the victorious Buddhas of the past, present, and future extol the sublime qualities of dedication, I too completely dedicate this root of virtue to all noble and virtuous conduct. Throughout all lifetimes, wherever I am born, may I attain the 7 qualities of the higher realms, and at birth may I meet with the Dharma and have the complete freedom to accomplish it accordingly. There may I serve a qualified Lama and day and night be immersed in the Dharma. Through realizing the teachings, may I accomplish the meaning of the heart essence, and in that very lifetime cross over the ocean of conditioned existence. At that point, may I teach the sacred Dharma within conditioned existence and tirelessly accomplish benefit for beings. May the great waves of impartial benefit to others bring everyone simultaneously to Buddhahood. Throughout my many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue I have accomplished, including the merit generated by this practice, and all that I will ever attain, this I offer for the welfare of sentient beings. May sickness, war, famine, and suffering be decreased for every being, while their wisdom and compassion increase in this and every future life. May I clearly perceive all experiences to be as insubstantial as the dream fabric of the night, and instantly awaken to perceive the pure wisdom display in the arising of every phenomena. May I quickly attain enlightenment in order to work ceaselessly for the liberation of all sentient beings. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas altogether, whatever kind of motivation you have, whatever kind of beneficial action, whatever kind of wishing prayers, whatever kind of omniscience, whatever kind of life accomplishment, whatever kind of benevolent power, and whatever kind of immense wisdom you have, then similarly I, who have come in the same way to benefit beings, pray to attain these qualities. At this very moment, for the peoples and the nations of the earth, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. Rather, may their moral conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase, and may supreme good fortune and well-being always arise for them. Kanri rawe korwe jingam su pendan dewa malu jungweni chenre ziwan denzen gyamso yi shabe karge bardu tengyur chi Kanri chudu ngagyur nyingma pa kato dorje dengi gyatsabje Guru Pedmi Tukju Dulongi Temba Zingyong Pawe Wangchu Pa Drupto Namka Gyaltsen Drui Ku Kanyi Lodrö T'haye Mingzimba Yinyi Kutse Tembar Juneni Zamlin Sangye Temba Gyedzen So Penden Junwe Ni Jimbu Temba Yunri Ne Badang Demba Zimbe Kibunam Kuze Gyaltsen Tengyur Chi Kato Baje Karpo Ling Du Sutra Lodrö T'haye Rinpoche Gyanda Gyalwa Kunda Yermeje Jende Tashi Yurin Dang Yurchi. So that's it. That's the Heart Sutra practice if you ever want to do it on your own. Good luck. And then eventually, all of the main practices that Rinpoche has, he intends to have like a practice, we'll call it like a practice program where we have a resource in on our website that you would like sign up for, and it would go into your account. And then it would have all the materials like the text and then recordings of the teachings and then a practice outline and then recordings of like Rinpoche if we have them or of someone just doing the practice straight through and then like recordings of like this, like a guided meditation. And so that's being cultivated and eventually will be available for everybody. We'll let you know when the Heart Sutra one is. Okay, take care.